Jack, there's been a lot of off-the-field issues around the league this year, and now that you're getting even more heavily involved in evaluating personnel, is there anything new or different that teams maybe need to do to make sure they're uncovering every little possibility or anything that might be in a player's past or future off the field?
Well, I think each organization has to handle their business in a way that suits them, and you're dealing with human beings and things happen. You just want to make sure that you're thorough in the research that you do and the work that you put in. And obviously, being here now, this is a part of that process to be able to get a feel for some of these young men. But it goes, a lot deeper than that. I think you do the best you can to gather information. And I think when you look at it as a whole, when you look at the league in its totality, I think it's a pretty good example of guys doing things the right way. I think it's probably not said enough, how a really high percentage of the people that are part of this league are doing things the right way, a large percentage of the time. So, but we will be thorough in terms of determining, whether or not a person is a good fit for our organization.
Do you feel like Maurice Jones-Drew is more than a role player at this point? You guys could save a lot of money by parting ways with him.
Did you say Maurice?
Yeah, I mean, MJD, is he more than a role player? He really didn't have a big part of the team last season at all.
No, he didn't, and I would say that that's something that we'll continue to look at in terms of who is going to be on the roster, who's going to be challenging for spots on the roster, who's going to be who's going to earn what particular role. I think that's all. It's way too early in the process to start getting into that. I think it's all being evaluated, and certainly this is a fine young man that that played great for me in our time together in Jacksonville, and a special young man, and I have a lot of respect for him. And we just need to find out. One of the things that he came to see me and wanted to welcome me and say hello, and that was one of my questions. Hey man, can you be explosive again? We need to know whether that can happen again. So we'll find out. But I obviously have a lot of respect for him. But that's part of the process as we go through this to make sure that we're putting out the best product we can on the field.
Jack, how are you? You got a couple, 2 or 3 things why it's been so long since the Raiders have been on top?
Well, I'm really not spending a whole lot of time worrying about what was. I'm really focused on what needs to be going forward. I'm very excited about what I think is a very strong staff that I was able to put together, and I'm thankful that that we were able to go get good people, and that they were excited about being a part of our effort there. And so I think it starts there. We brought in guys that are great teachers with a lot of energy, and I think that is what we need. So going forward, what I'm looking to do is assemble a strong staff. We've done that. We'll evaluate the roster. That is continuous. And, we're here because this basically begins the new year. You come here, you begin your draft preparations, or you really begin to bring the coaches in and close your draft preparations as you prepare for that day. And so you acquire that talent, and then you go out there and compete. We're going to have a very competitive mentality throughout our organization. In everything we're doing, we want to make sure that we're competing to be the very best. And goal from day one is to win the division.
What about the 3 years you had in Denver that makes you a better coach this time than when you left Jacksonville?
Yeah, I think you grow from all those experiences you have as a coach. Certainly spent 3 tremendous years in Denver. I'd like to think that the last 3 years have been very beneficial, that we were able to do some superior things there on the field. And so you take that experience. Part of it was going back and actually being the interim head coach when John was battling with his heart issues. And so as I told you then, it was good to be on back on the bike, and it was a really good bike. So we're looking to make this a good bike where we are now.
With their unprecedented cap space and having the ability to go out in free agency, part of a recruitment process for
Sure.
you, and I think every team in the league knows you have a lot of cap space, so the recruitment part of bringing guys in maybe is
Sure.
as important as what you're doing here in Indianapolis with the Combine?
That's right. It is very important. That's why I think it's important that, you know, the prospective players out there understand that things have changed. Our fields are all being redone. You know, our practice fields are all being redone. Our weight room is being expanded. We have a steam room going in. We have, you know, there's a freshness going on. And so those are things I talked about in the interview process that were important, and they've been followed up with actual commitment of capital, which I'm excited about. So as you go into this phase of free agency and acquiring players, we have cap space, and we have cash, and we have a new staff full of teachers, and we have a good young quarterback, and we have a good young man off the edge in Khalil Mack, and we've got a good left tackle. We've got corner. You know, so the things that we need to be started, we have. So now we're going to start adding good quality people that are fired up to be a part of the Raiders, and so I'm excited about, you know, part of that process that we're just getting into.
Well, Jack, John Fox was telling us, Chicago guys, how a good defense is flexible enough to put your players in the best position to succeed. How were you able to do that when you were in Denver?
Well, you know, Coach and I share a common philosophy in terms of making sure that you get your players in position to do the things they do well, and you want to minimize the exposure that they have of being asked to do things they can't do well. And so, you know, that's one of the fundamentals of coaching, is being able to relate to your players and understand what they can and can't do, and make sure that you're creating opportunities for do the things they do well. We're looking for things we can do, things that guys can do. We're not worried about the things they can't do. You know, it's our job to make sure we don't put them in those situations. So that's basically the way, you know, that I've always looked at it. That's the way Kenny Norton, my defensive coordinator, that's the way he looks at it. We're looking for things guys can do. We're excited about coaching these young men and teaching and developing these guys.
Jack, during your time with John in Denver, what struck you about his greatest strengths in energizing a team?
I think, you know, my second time being with Coach Fox, I think he's a great people person. I think he, you know, he trusts his coordinators to do their jobs, and he builds great relations with his players. I think those are, you know, basic hallmarks of what he brings. Good man to work for.
Jack, there's been a lot of discussion about relocation with the Raiders, the Rams, and the Chargers, of course. When you were going through the interview process, did you have concerns or questions about that? And if so, how were they addressed?
Yeah, I asked, you know, point blank, what Mark Davis, what his thoughts were on, you know, the potential for relocation, and he indicated to me that it is his desire to keep the team in Oakland, and that they're working hard to do that, and that's his commitment, you know, to do it, to look at it that way. I'm from the area. Obviously, I can coach anywhere, but I'm from there, and it would be great to keep him right there. So hopefully we get that done.
Jack, will Derek Carr be your starting quarterback in 2015?
I certainly would hope so. You're not trying to jinx me, are you? Okay. So are we going to go down the roster now and try and determine who's going to be a certainty and who's not? I don't think that's the kind of thing that needs to be talked about. I think most everybody out here would understand that right now.
Coach, can you talk about your decision to bring Rod Woodson on as an assistant DB coach? What was behind that, and how that'll benefit your roster with your DBs?
Yeah, we're excited to have Rod. Rod was a player in Baltimore when I was coaching as part of the Raven team that won the Super Bowl. I've seen Rod firsthand. He interned for us last year in Denver. He has coached before. Was in Oakland once before. He has a passion for the game. He's a Hall of Fame player, which doesn't mean a whole lot in coaching, okay? Other than he'll get instant credibility, and he'll get that first 5 minutes. Maybe it turns into 10 minutes, but then he's got to be about helping a guy be better. And it's my belief he can do that. He can help us. He can bring wisdom. He can bring energy. He's a good man, and glad to have him on the staff.
You have Carlos Rogers, T. Brown, DJ Hayden on the roster. How do you feel about the corners that you have on the roster right now?
I feel like we have you know, some solid young players that should develop in our system, and so, you know, throughout the whole roster, you know, we're looking for ways that we can create competition and make sure that we develop. And so I see that position much like the rest of the positions on the team. I think it's one that had some moments, one that will need to play at a better level, and I think you can say that throughout the roster.
What are your impressions of Khalil Mack's rookie year?
Khalil was obviously is a guy that last year at this time was considered one of the top prospects. And then he's gone from that top prospect in terms of a guy who may be able to come in and play, and he's established himself as a guy that can play. And now we'd like to take that performance to another level. You know, he showed signs of being dominant in certain things, in particular, you know, stuffing people at the line of scrimmage and putting up that stop sign and telling people they're not coming that way. And then, you know, some of the ability to finish on the edge. We think we can help with some of those things and some of the opportunities where you get people in must-pass situations where he can flourish. So excited about a young talent like that.
Jack, this is
Two more,
DJ
please.
Hayden's third year. For DJ Hayden, is this a matter of consistency going into his third year?
DJ is really he's got great feet. He's got great feet. He's got special corner feet, ability to transition, change direction. I think, you know, for DJ, it's all about staying healthy. And you can't. It's hard to develop if you're not on the field working. So, you know, we're going to work hard. We have a new strength coach, Joe Gomes, and Joe and his staff. They're similar to what Luke Richardson brought us in Denver, in terms of being on the cutting edge of technologies utilized, of the conditioning and the strengthening of your football team. A lot of the regeneration and the regenerative things that you need to be about in order to bring people back so they can train harder or so they can be fresher on Sundays, be part of our program. So I think all of that adds into it.
Jack, why were you able to connect so well with Terrence Knighton in two different stops? And is he still trending upward in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, we drafted him. We thought at that time he was kind of a dancing bear type, you know, kind of a big, powerful man that could stay on his feet and run down the line. And so, you know, this game's about big, powerful men, you know, so that the guys that have the skill level can do their things. So this big, powerful man played well in Jacksonville. We got back together. He played well in Denver. And so, you know, I appreciate that. I respect that. You know, we have to have those kinds of people in our trenches on the offensive and defensive line in order to play the kind of football we expect to play.
Jack, how big a head start is it to move inside the division where there are fewer unknowns for a head coach coming in?
How does it?
To move inside the division where you pretty much know everybody.
And so you're asking how does it feel, or what I think about that, or?
Just a head start over John Fox going to Chicago where it's a new division.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly there's a working reference point that I can draw on. I am familiar with those stadiums. I am familiar with those teams, having competed against them, and you know, been a part of one of them. Played the others twice a year. So, you know, I think that may benefit certain things, but you know, it's still about getting in, doing the work, and you know, not taking anything for granted. So I have a healthy respect for the division. I think it's a good division, and as I said a little while ago, you know, our goal number one in everything that we're doing in our building is to win our division first. And so everything that we're about, every decision that we make is about, can that help us win our division? And I think once you accomplish that, then you can talk about other goals. But goal number one has to be that.
Okay, thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.